Part 88. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 871. Chapter 871, Twilight Rain finally understands who the owner of this island is. Who are you and what do you want to do? Twilight took a few steps back nervously because the other party's aura was too strong, and she couldn't figure out his goal. It's better to be cautious. Don't be so nervous. Lushu's tone was gentle, as if he was still calming the other party's emotions, and said lightly, I just think that you should be able to become a particularly good assistant and collaborator of our guild, and if we cooperate, we should be able to make this world bigger and stronger. Twilight suddenly showed a strange gaze when she heard the wind. How could this tone be the same as that of a pyramid scheme? Moreover, he is already the pavilion master of the Dusk Rain Pavilion. Have your own guild. How could it be possible to go to work in the guild of other people? Thinking of this, Twilight Rain said confidently, I'm sorry sir, I already have a guild, so I won't accept your cooperation. It doesn't matter. Lushu waved his hand without caring at all, and said, there are also some top guild leaders in the Divine Tree world who have become my partners and joined my guild, and they are not missing you. So, you just have to say yes. Twilight couldn't help but sneer when she heard the wind. Why does that sound so tough? She'd seen the guild recruit people, but she hadn't seen anyone recruit in the Divine Tree Island War. Moreover, does this big brother know what the situation is now? He appeared on his island, it is an invader. Outcome. What does it mean to let your guard down so much in the face of the enemy? Thinking of this, Twilight suddenly felt that this man seemed to look down on him, and his heart suddenly became unhappy. Alas, it seems that some means are still needed. Lushu shook his head. He didn't expect to let the other party come all the way, but it still grew this person's arrogance. In this way, let's take a beating first. In the next second, an incomparably terrifying aura emerged from Lushu's body. This moment, Twilight's face turned pale. She felt like she was like tissue paper in the wind, and she could be torn to pieces by this terrible wind at any moment. You. Who the hell are you? Twilight Rain's face changed drastically. She had never seen such a terrifying person on the Divine Tree Island, and his terrifying strength subverted her imagination. At this moment, Lushu spoke. I can give you a chance to join our guild, or your gaming career will be over. With that, Lushu once again sacrificed the lock of the gods, and the chains in the sky were wrapped around the Twilight Rain and wind. Wait. These chains. The moment Twilight heard the wind and saw these chains, her face changed dramatically, and a shocking memory flashed in her mind. That's the picture that reporters got when they recorded the god-level battle, and it was with these chains that the God-Eater imprisoned the high-ranking and invincible goddess. At that time, Twilight listening to the wind also opened the memory video of the forum, and when she saw these chains, an inexplicable sense of fear surged in her heart. Unexpectedly, these chains are now entwined around themselves. At this time, Twilight finally understands who the owner of this island is. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 872. Chapter 872, Sign this contract. Could it be? Is it him? Twilight listened to the wind and was instantly frightened. This is the first person in the Grey Realm to kill a god. I actually matched this kind of fairy island. It's over, this time it's really a knight's help. I knew I wouldn't have entered the other party's island, if I had a defensive battle on my own island, if I didn't have the slightest chance. 79-3 Twilight Rain listened to the wind and now understood who the enemy he was facing, and he had 10,000 regrets in his heart. He knew that he couldn't be so light on the enemy, and now it seems that it is too late. At this critical moment, the chains in the sky are about to be entwined. She knew that if she couldn't do anything about it at this point, it would be a complete ruin. However, even in the face of such a level of powerhouse, Twilight Rain is still unwilling to succumb to others like this. After all. Anyway. Twilight Rain is the president of Twilight Pavilion, and this guild has finally developed to this day, and now it is also the #1 guild in the Divine Tree world. And as the president of the first guild, she actually has a more or less queenly feeling in her heart, as if she is the king who rules the world of the Divine Tree. In this way, of course, Twilight Listening to the Wind is not willing to let the career that she has been running for so long end completely. Next second, a talisman appeared in her hand. The rune was then crushed at the speed of light. At this moment, a white light appeared around Twilight Rain's body, and he wanted to escape quickly. Want to run? Luxu smiled faintly. Of course he could see at a glance the intention of the Twilight Rain to listen to the wind. But he knew that the other party would never be able to run. Because this is its own sacred tree island, of course, you can't come and go if you want. At this moment, a burst of brilliant light suddenly erupted around the island, and the heavenly machine array and the god-level buildings next to it operated wildly, turning into a divine vortex, blocking this place. It's not. The talisman in Twilight Listening's hand suddenly shattered, the teleportation failed, and her face turned pale. Big brother, all this is a misunderstanding. I just came here to visit. Your island is so beautiful, ha 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 ha. Seeing that the lock of the gods in front of him was about to entangle, he ended his brilliant and undefeated career. At this moment, Twilight could only laugh dryly when she heard the wind, and quickly found a reason that she didn't believe. That's when. What I didn't expect was that these chains actually stopped. He wouldn't be so stupid and really believed what he said, right? Twilight was slightly stunned when she heard the wind, only to see that the chains were only a centimeter away from her, but they suddenly froze in the air and did not move. Ah, I see. Luxu actually showed a happy smile and said, I'll just say, all the guests who came, it turned out to be a visit, then it's okay. The other party really believed the reason he had made up. Twilight Listening to the Wind was a little stunned. She didn't believe it herself with this 2.6 reason, but Luxu believed it, and his strength was so strong, it always made Twilight Listening to the Wind feel like a fantasy. At this moment, Luxu continued to take out the demon contract from his hand and said with a smile. All right, if there is nothing wrong with this guest, please sign this contract. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 873. Chapter 873, Twilight Rain, hearing the wind, shivered all over his body. Luxu's whisper like a demon suddenly made Twilight Rain shiver all over his body. The eyes that look at each other are full of fear. Originally, this guy never let himself go. It's just that I feel like I belong to the other party's possession, so I show such a kind expression. However, this expression fell in the eyes of Twilight Rain. It was like seeing a ghost. It was simply not too terrifying. I refuse. Twilight Rain seems to have made up her mind that even death will not accept being bound by a demonic contract. However, before Twilight Listening to the Wind could speak, Luxu had already directly thrown the demon contract 18 in front of Twilight Listening to the Wind and said, Look at the conditions above. Twilight was slightly stunned when she heard the wind. She naturally wanted to refuse without looking at it, but this contract had already appeared in front of her, so how to say it at this time? She had to see what was on it, and then decide whether to accept it, right? After reading the contents of the Demon Pact, Twilight's expression became extremely strange. What the hell is this? As a member of the Akatsuki Guild, you must not reveal anything related to the guild, and do anything that harms the guild and its internal members. Breaking a contract deprives you of all abilities. Of course, Twilight Rain has heard that the demon contract is an extremely domineering contract. At present, there is no divine tree master in the divine tree world who can use any method to avoid the binding effect of the demon contract. Almost no one would sign such a domineering contract. It is generally used in unfair circumstances, and it is the enslavement of the winner to the loser. Basically, sign the demon contract, this life is over. It is no different from selling your soul to a demon, and sometimes you may even encounter a more tragic end than death. However, Twilight listened to the wind and carefully read the above terms, but it didn't seem to find anything particularly serious. It's nothing more than not being able to hurt your own people, and not being high-minded. With such a contract, it seems that whether you sign it or not has no effect on you. It's just a secret, who won't shut up? But Twilight listened to the wind and wondered. The other party took so much effort to get himself, just to sign such a painless contract. What kind of fame is this? And guild. What kind of trade union is Xiao organization? As the second in command of the Divine Tree World Guild, he has never heard of any guild called the Xiao organization. Could it be that this big guy also valued the development prospects of the guild during this period, so he made such a thing out? You. 573, what do you want to do? Twilight asked weakly as she heard the wind, her voice becoming unrelievable. Originally, in Twilight's expectation, this demon contract should be quite domineering, and he would rather die than sign the contract, and then try his best to find a way to die with the other party. But such a gentle demon contract directly made the Twilight Rain listen to the wind, and the rebellious arrogance in his heart dissipated at the moment, and he didn't know where to vent. Okay, if it's okay, sign it quickly, and then go back to your island. Luxu said impatiently. Twilight was stunned when she heard the wind, listening to the other party's meaning. It seemed that she could go back if she had indeed signed this demon contract. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 874. Chapter 874, it turns out that they are members of the Xiao organization? To determine if this is the case, Twilight listened to the wind and asked more. The recovery is also very positive. Yes, as long as you sign this demon contract, then you will be the one who organizes the guild of our Xiao organization. Our guild has always been relatively free, so as long as you sign it, if you want to go back, you can go back, and no one cares about you. Okay, now whether you sign it or not, hurry up and make a decision. I don't have so much work and effort to spend here with you. Luxu's tone became impatient, and the divine locks around him were ready to move, like writhing snakes, which would pounce on you and bite you at any time. Twilight was a little frightened when she heard the wind, and said in her heart that what kind of person is this? She actually invited others to join the guild in this way, and it was the first time she saw someone like this as a president. But he became a prisoner, and he could only be at the mercy of the other party. Even if he asked himself to sign a truly evil demon contract, there was nothing he could do. What's more, this demon contract is much gentler than I imagined. Okay, I'll just sign it. Twilight listened to the wind up and down, left and right, and carefully read the demon contract repeatedly, but no matter how she picked the words, she couldn't see any traps in this demon contract. Because the number of words is so small. Those terms that deceive people are usually covered up with a large string of words, and they play with words and the right of final interpretation. But Luxu's demon contract doesn't have many words at all, even if he wants to hide the trap inside, but with so few words like the open air, there is no cover at all, so why set up a text trap? To put it bluntly, that is Luxu's demon contract, which is a very ordinary contract, and there is nothing to call it a demon. Except for betraying the guild and being punished and repelled by demons, the other terms are the same as normal contracts, and even better than those guilds of the pit people. So, Twilight listening to the wind plans to sign this contract first, and then talk about it later. That's when a new guild panel pops up in front of Twilight Rain. Under the influence of the demonic contract, she has two guilds, one is her own guild and the other is the Xiao organization. Humph, I want to see what kind of ghost guild you created, how dare you get a big guy like this girl in. Twilight Rain snorted coldly when she heard the wind. As the pavilion master of Twilight Rain Pavilion, her influence and appeal are invincible. Isn't the other party worried that after he enters his guild, he will directly dig into the foot of the wall and get out all the core members inside? Moreover, if a guild is to be formed, it is not just a president. After a cursory glance at the panel, Twilight Rain laughed secretly in her heart. There were only 100 or 200 people. I thought it was some kind of awesome guild. It turned out to be a small guild that had just been created. However, when Twilight Rain's eyes continued to look at the wind, his eyes froze slightly. The name she was familiar with came up several times. Wait, Prodigal Son, Xiao Chang'an, and Le. Didn't these dark horses kill the top 100 bigwigs in the Divine Tree world before, and it turns out that they are actually members of the Xiao organization. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 875. Chapter 875, Listening to the Wind in the Twilight, I felt David shocked. Now. Twilight listening to the wind, Twilight already feels like she has fallen into a completely sluggish state. She couldn't imagine why the new dark horses on the ranking were all from the same guild. Now, most of the arguments of the Divine Tree Master feel that this batch of dark horses may be scattered. But a very unusual sign is long overdue. The rankings of Xiao Chang'an and others are very close, and they are dark horses that emerged in the same batch. Where could such a coincidence happen? If you think about it carefully, it is very likely that these people are from an unknown organization in the Divine Tree world, and they are operating in the shadows. And now this speculation has been confirmed. But what she never expected was, these people are all from the Xiao organization, a guild of 810 that they have never heard of at all. I am still fighting on the island of the Sacred Tree, and I am matched with the president of this guild. Twilight listened to the wind and felt a sense of bitterness in her heart. Before, she also naively thought that the Dusk Rain Pavilion she led was the first guild in the Divine Tree world. But if you put these familiar names together, the answer is obvious. Even the number of people on the list in the Twilight Rain Pavilion will definitely not be able to surpass the Xiao organization. Not to mention that the members of the family are ranked very high. Comprehensive ability, more than a comparative, is not available. Twilight Rain couldn't help but feel a chill when she heard the wind. It turned out that she had matched a hidden boss of this level, and it seemed that it was really cold at present. Of course, if you think about the benefits, Xiao Chang'an and the others can be ranked so high, which means that this president will pull himself into the organization, and he will not be tortured to death in another way, right? In that case, there is no substantial benefit to going through a lot of trouble. Twilight's mood of listening to the wind also calmed down a little. After all, this so-called Xiao organization still seems to have a lot of masters, which can't help but make Twilight listen to the wind with a sense of trust in her heart. At this moment, Twilight listened to the wind and continued to look through the list of members of the Akatsuki Organized Guild. She wanted to see what top masters were still hidden in this guild, hidden in the shadows. However, after flipping through the list, Twilight was shocked. Wait. Dark Knight, Fish Mystery. Why are these two guys in this place? The person who listened to the wind in Twilight instantly went numb. She stared at these two names, and confirmed them several times, but she was sure that she was not mistaken. It was the Dark Knight and the Fish Mystery. The ids of the Divine Tree world cannot be impersonated, and there are only these two ids in the world. Since I'm not mistaken, it means that even Dark Knight and Yusuanji have joined the guild of the Xiao organization? Twilight can be sure that these two guys definitely didn't join in the first place. At that time, the Night Alliance was still suppressed by the entire Divine Tree world. But later, it gradually developed, and there was a cooperation with the Star Pavilion. Thinking about it so carefully, it seems that Dark Knight and Yusuanji may be the same, both of them came in after being defeated by Lu Shu. Twilight listened to the wind and thought about it carefully, and found that the last time they were on the list, these two were on the list, and they also sprinted to the front. Could it be related to this mysterious Yao organization? At this time, Twilight Rain was shocked when I heard the wind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 877. Chapter 877 Dawn Organization YYDS. That's when Twilight listened to the wind and opened the group chat organized by Xiao. It turned out that any of the members of the Xiao organization present had already exploded and bubbled up one after another. Everyone, don't worry about receiving the benefits sent by the president, come and see who is more in the guild. Isn't this a new Divine Tree Island war? Is there any 350 boss who has joined our guild and become a new force? Ha ha ha, you're really a little clever, you've guessed it, but guess who the new member is? Why should I guess and open the list of members directly? Sleep, listen to the wind in the Twilight Rain. Isn't this the mysterious pavilion master of the Twilight Pavilion? In the entire Divine Tree world, it seems that there is only such a Twilight Rain listening to the wind, right? Yes, there is only such a Twilight Rain listening to the wind, the pavilion master from the Twilight Rain Pavilion, the second in the world of the Divine Tree for 10,000 years. It's really the second in 10,000 years, it's just too exciting. Why are strong people of this level getting over by our president? I feel that it can shock me for 100 years. It's really the Twilight Rain that is coming over listening to the wind, it's outrageous, and now I am not surprised at all what the organization will develop into. First of all, the core bosses of the Prodigal Sun Sword and Xiao Chang'an have stabilized the rankings one after another, and the rankings are getting higher and higher, and then there are Dark Knights and Fish Mysteries to join, and there are many bigwigs from the Divine Tree world, and now even the second one of 10,000 years has come over. Awesome. It can only be described as awesome. Akatsuki Organization YYDS. Akatsuki Organization YYDS. Akatsuki Organization YYDS. The news of the guild panel of the Xiao organization is rising at a rate of 99 plus every minute, crazy rising. When Twilight heard the wind and saw these news, people were already a little numb. What do you mean that every time the island has some bigwigs joining in? This moment. Twilight seems to understand a little bit when you listen to the wind. She couldn't help but show a crying and laughing expression. It turned out that Twilight Rain thought that she was the only one who was pulled into the Xiao organization like this, but she found that everyone here had joined this guild by the same means, which was incredible. The way this president recruits people feels too much to say. Fight directly on the island of the Sacred Tree, beat you all over, and then use the demon contract to force you into the guild? Isn't this the act of a robber pulling people? Twilight didn't know how to describe the mysterious president's approach for a while, it felt like a human trafficker. However, I have to say that seeing the atmosphere in the news, it seems that the members here don't particularly hate this guild, and they seem to like it a lot. First of all, if it is a guild that has been forced to join, and life is not under its control, then even if you use this panel to speak, it is impossible for the tone to be so relaxed, let alone have 5.9 small talk in this place. I have created the guild myself, and I don't know much about the habits of the guild members. Not to mention, there seems to be an interesting piece of information in the message log. Does this guild have benefits? Twilight was a little surprised to hear the wind. Because her guild doesn't have these free benefits. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 878. Chapter 878 I met a lot of acquaintances. As the president of a grand guild, Twilight Rain knows that there is such a thing as guild welfare, and the members generally don't care. It's just a big pie when recruiting newcomers. Any serious guild uses the best resources to cultivate excellent members, and welfare is something that everyone has, Rain and do. But there is a problem here. If it is a big guild, there must be a large number of people in it. Naturally, there are bastards, and there are strong ones. Benefits, of course, are available to everyone. This means that even bastards can eat these resources. To know. 18. With so many members in a big guild, how can the benefits distributed be reasonably distributed? This is a question that will test all presidents. Even if it was the Dusk Rain Pavilion, which had countless resources in the entire Divine Tree world, it didn't dare to talk about such a thing as welfare. After carefully flipping through the panel, Twilight Rain listened to the wind and showed a sudden expression. After all, there are only hundreds of people in the Xiao organization, and it doesn't seem to have reached a particularly exaggerated number. In this way, there is nothing wrong with the distribution of benefits. But Twilight is also a little curious. What benefits will the organization give to these members? Looks. The people here seem to be very interested in welfare, and whenever they want to give out benefits, they all show extremely excited looks. Twilight Rain was puzzled by this. Could it be that the usual benefits of the Xiao organization are the kind of resources that can enhance their strength? In this way, this president is not only too angry, but also too generous. These resources can completely build a good army, but directly stuff to all the members, Rain and Do are stained. It feels like it belongs to the kind of gameplay that burns money and doesn't ask for anything in return. That's when Xiao Chang'an, Prodigal Sword, and other core members also bubbled up on the public screen. NLE, my god, I seem to have seen a very amazing name. Isn't this the second in the Divine Tree world? Prodigal Son, the second child of 10,000 years. It's really you. This is my former idol. Xiao Chang'an, the president is really awesome. Even the mysterious pavilion master of the Dusk Rain Pavilion has been pulled over, and our Xiao organization has added a general again. Dark Knight, Tisk, it seems that I'm not the only one who has fallen to this end. Yu Suanji, it seems a little wrong to use falling. Dark Knight, I'm sorry, let me re-edit the wording. I should be the only one who got this unexpected chance. At this time, all the core members of the Xiao organization were blown up by this name. Twilight Rain listens to the Wine 070. She is the second in the Divine Tree world. Although she doesn't usually pretend to be forced, her name is always hung on the leaderboard, and her legend is also circulating in the rivers and lakes. Who in this room doesn't know the person who doesn't know the person who listens to the wind in the twilight? Twilight's expression was a little blinded. What do you mean by calling yourself the second in 10,000 years? Is this very polite? However, this title seems to have to be recognized. And now it is not only the second in 10,000 years, there are so many strong people in this guild, it is possible to rank the third and fourth in 10,000 years. I feel like I've arrived in a weird place, but I've met a lot of acquaintances. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 879. Chapter 879, everyone in the Xiao organization was shocked. You. Is that how you got here? Twilight couldn't hold back a little when she heard the wind. Everyone seemed to be discussing herself, and she herself didn't come out to say something. Seems to be so meaningless. Originally, when I saw the chat panel of the guild, Twilight Rain wouldn't go out to talk when she heard the wind. The reason is simple. She is the president of a guild, of course, she has to maintain a high level. How can she go out and shout so casually? Therefore, although Twilight listening to the wind usually looks at the guild chat panel, it usually says 2 sentences, and then it goes down, or even doesn't say a word, just silently peeps at the screen, and notes what the members of their own family are usually talking about, doing, and what their personalities are. Now, the entire Xiao organization was discussing itself, and Twilight Rain, as a newcomer, couldn't help but come out. But I don't know what to ask. After all, the members here all seem to be familiar with each other, and only one of the new joiners seems a little out of place. Then why don't you ask a question that everyone has more in common? Just ask the others how they got in. Lord Muj, don't worry, we came in exactly the same way as you. The members of the Akatsuki organization replied. Oh, I see. Twilight you breathed a sigh of relief when she heard the wind. This time she could rest assured, anyway, everyone is the same, no one has to look down on anyone. But at this moment, the problems in the Xiao organization guild suddenly went in a strange way. Ha ha ha, I resisted the president's attack at the beginning, but I lasted for an hour, am I not awesome? Awesome, it only took me 5 seconds for the president, to be honest, I don't even know what's going on, the island has already fallen. As the divine tree master of the castle defense island, I say that my castle defense is like a papier-mâché in front of the president. I don't know if anyone can survive 3 days under the attack of the president. If you can really have such an unnatural result, it doesn't seem like a problem to blow for a year. Hee, then I have to ask the Lord of the Twilight Listening Wind Pavilion about this matter. After all, she is the person with the highest rank among all of us, and she should have supported her for the longest time, right? I also think that the Mu Pavilion Master should be the longest. After all, it took the president so long to get her done, maybe it is the card among our members. Although the Night Boss is also very powerful, his ability is basically focused on assassination, and his defense is definitely not so powerful. Lord of the Twilight Listening Wind Pavilion, may I ask how long you have been defending against the leader's attack? When Twilight heard these questions, she almost vomited blood. When there was more defense, Qian Li's, he didn't defend at all, but ran to Lushu's island stupidly. Who knows, when I encountered such a monster, I was directly viciously dealt with. It seems a bit embarrassing to talk about this. But Twilight Rain was also helpless when she heard the wind, so she could only bite the bullet and say, ahem, actually, I'm on the offensive side, so there's no time to defend. Everyone in the Xiao organization was shocked. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 880. Chapter 880, she was shocked. The members of the group were speechless for a short time. Until 5 minutes have passed. The guild screen just started scrolling. It is worthy of being the Lord of the Mu Pavilion, and he is really capable of taking the initiative to challenge the President's Island. You should also be the first person in our guild. Yes, it is worthy of being the Lord of the Mu Pavilion, powerful and terrifying. This kind of courage is not comparable to us. I don't know if the Master of the Dusk Rain Pavilion can give the little brother an autograph. You can take it to the forum and show off to others. Awesome, take the initiative to challenge the President's Island. This is the spirit of the strong. Facing a burst of praise from the members of the Xiao organization, Twilight Rain was a little ashamed to listen to the wind, although she took the initiative to enter the 510 attack, but since entering Lushu's island, she didn't resist even a second, and was directly tied up by the god's lock, and played GG in laughter, and signed the terrible demon contract. Thinking of this, Twilight Rain also felt speechless for a while, but in the face of everyone's praise, she didn't know what to say. It doesn't feel like it's. Fortunately. This topic did not last. At this moment, the president of the Xiao organization took the initiative to send a message on the guild's screen, successfully diverting everyone's attention, by a "Alright, I'm going to send out a benefit to celebrate the arrival of a new member of our Akatsuki organization." When this news was sent, it immediately received a response from the members of the Xiao organization. "Ah! Long live the president, long live, long live, long live. It's coming, it's finally here, I've been waiting for a long time. Okay, it's welfare again, this time I'm definitely going to grab a few more points." The chat panel, every second of the message is almost refreshed in the care of 99+. Twilight felt a little silly when she heard the wind. Her guild had tens of thousands of people, how could it not seem to be as active as this group of hundreds of people? Could it be that their members are more introverted, don't like to talk, and have social phobia? But the problem is that the more introverted people tend to talk about it, and these needs will be reflected in group chats, which doesn't have any effect. Twilight was a little curious when she heard the wind, what was the welfare of the Xiao organization, and it could cause such a big formation. She feels a bit like Grandma Lu entering the Grand View Garden, and she has been increasing her knowledge. Finally, a striking text popped up in front of all the members of the Xiao organization. Ding, the president of the Xiao organization sent a benefit, please accept it to all members of the Xiao organization. Twilight has accepted this benefit. But what she didn't expect was that the benefits she got turned out to be sour vinegar fish. Food. Twilight Rain's eyes showed a strange gaze, and the welfare of the Xiao organization was here, was this the thing? Seems a bit disappointing. Could these people be a trust? Why can just some food cause such a big reversal? However, Twilight didn't think about it that much. Anyway, this food was for nothing. What food in the world is more delicious than the food of a prostitute? She immediately put the sour vinegar fish in her mouth and savored it. The next second, she was shocked. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 881. Chapter 881, The Way to Conquer Guild Members. This tastes. There is such a wonderful taste in the world. It feels like you've come to heaven. Twilight felt as if she had flown into the clouds, and it was an indescribable experience. At that moment, she suddenly realized why the members of the Xiao organization could show such anticipating expressions when they heard about the benefits. This kind of benefit is better than becoming stronger or something. Because what is the purpose of the Divine Tree Master becoming stronger? Could it be that it's all for vanity, in order to compete for the rankings, and pretend to be forced in front of the Divine Tree Masters all over the world? Of course not. The reason why everyone is getting stronger is actually very simple, just to survive, go. It's as simple as that. In the dangerous world of the Divine Tree, everyone has the foundation to gain a foothold in this world only if they have strong strength. As for becoming stronger, it is to be able to obtain better survival materials and achieve a better life. But the meal presented by the president of the Xiao organization directly skipped the stage of becoming stronger, so that everyone can enjoy the fun of life. This is simply fundamental, to win people's hearts. In the world of the Divine Tree, if you can make others stronger for no reason, then normal people will not be grateful for this, but will be a little suspicious. Why are you so nice to me for no reason? You probably want to get something out of me, do you? This is the basic logic of the Divine Tree world. Everyone is more selfish and sensitive, full of all kinds of open and secret battles. But what if it's a meal? Of course, the results are different. There is no conflict of interest involved, just delicious food, which can quickly win people's hearts than any welfare. But that's not enough. If you are the president of a guild and just use food to impress people's hearts, you may still seem a little thin and feel insincere. However, this problem has never existed in Lu Shu's body. It's just because his cooking skills are so good that the food he makes can conquer everyone's taste buds. The moment they taste the food, they all feel fluttering, as if this life is enough. This is the place that is really enough to win people's hearts. And the president of a guild is willing to dedicate his valuable cooking skills to the members of the Xiao organization. Isn't this a way and attitude to treat people equally? Therefore, the members of the Xiao organization are very fond of these benefits and can accept them without any burden. But Twilight's surprise is much more than that. After swallowing the food for a few seconds, she found that the food still helped her strength a lot. Although it is not a great improvement, it has an effect similar to that of washing the marrow, and the effect is endless. Is this the benefit of the Xiao organization? Twilight listened to the wind and no longer had any doubts, and she was even more surprised by this guild. These foods should have been cooked with the extra resources of the president of the Xiao organization. Although the effect of marrow washing was significant at first, it was more average after that. But this kind of welfare can be deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Even if the strength improvement effect is relatively average, but this flavor is enough to capture the hearts of all the members of the Xiao organization. It turns out that there is also a way to conquer guild members with this kind of benefit.